Y'all, I just realized that I'm full muted and I did my entire thing. Everybody, what a welcome. So this is what I said. I said, welcome to today's episode of Thumbstop Live. And I said, in my soul, I'm a little bit sad because the end of the summer is here. And you know what? The end of the summer got me and had me muted. Technology, so fun. But everybody, as I was saying, if this is your first time here, I'm so happy to have you here. This is an episode of Thumbstop Live. Thumbstop Live is streaming every single Monday to Friday from 11 a.m. Eastern to 1 p.m. Eastern. And if you're interested in learning more about us, check us out at Thumbstop Live on X or Twitter, whatever you're calling it these days. Now, we're streaming across a bunch of different platforms. We're streaming across LinkedIn. Shout out to my LinkedIn family. I know we got people over there. On YouTube Live, YouTubers, you know what it is, what's going on X and Twitter, of course, and then Instagram. If you're there on Instagram, I know the screen's going to be small. I'm so sorry, but you'll catch the clips of what we have going on. And today's going to be a really good day. We have a couple people I'm so excited for you all to chat with. So later in the show, we have Nick Shackelford joining us. We'll have a great conversation. But to kick off, I am so pumped to have Jess with us here today. So everybody, if we can, let's give a warm welcome and round of applause to the one and only Jess.
Sup, dog?
Jess, what's happening?
Thanks for having me. I'm so sorry that I didn't set up my channels before, so we're good now.
Don't even worry about it. Don't even worry. And everyone who's been here before knows I always talk about the clips. So it's like we got the clips going on after the fact, so people will see what you have to basically bring. And like all
I have a lot of art to bring. That's all I got. I'm sick. That's not all I got.
Are you a collector? Is that what you describe yourself as?
Yeah, I would say I'm a collector. I went to art school. And I don't think a lot of people know that about me. I actually went to art school. I have a degree in a fine arts degree, but with an emphasis in fashion merchandising specifically. Yeah.
I was gonna ask what your medium was then in that case. So fashion merchandise. Holy crap! I'm so curious now. Curious now. Did you ever do anything with the degree or
Dude, it's so funny. I went to college, did it, really hustled, loved it, loved art school because we got to we took so many classes. We graphic design, painting, drawing. Although you guys do not want to see my drawings. I'm not a drawer. I'm a digital baby. Okay, but I loved it. And then while I was in school, though, I had to hustle. I had to pay for college, and art school is really expensive. So while I was in school, I actually worked at Wells Fargo, and I was bank teller, personal banker, all those things. And that's kind of where I started my career in service almost and customer experience. So then by the time I graduated, I was honestly hustling and making money. And I was just I'm not going to do that anymore. So I'm so glad I did it though. Cause I did try to my internships were in fashion styling for some magazines, and I'm from the Bay Area. So Oakland, in Oakland, there was a couple of magazines out there.
Shout out to Oakland.
Yeah. 510 baby forever.
Hey, there we go.
Anyway, and so I did a lot of internships and did those things, but because I was already hustling in the workforce, I just kind of went down that path. And it's not about money. It was just my passion just led me somewhere else. So, and we'll get into it. I mean, because I don't think a lot of people realize I did that, but I also worked in fintech, travel tech, all these other startups before I was ever in e-commerce.
So this is insane. We've kind of jumped across the timelines a bunch. So I am wondering if you can set the stage for people who might not be as familiar with you with the typical, tell us about yourself, some of that work experience you were talking about, some of the personal experience you were talking about, and then I can properly dive in because I have so many freaking follow-ups already.
I'm so sorry. This is what happens when you stream with me, dog. I'll just ramble on,
I love it.
I think, a lot of people know me from working at Feastables by Mr. Beast, being a part of that go-to-market team that brought that to market. I think a lot of people in at least this X space know me as that. But, prior to that, Feastables was actually my 5th startup at that time. I had worked at 4 other startups before that. So I told you a little bit about that background, right? Of how I kind of got into customer experience and, And then that trailed me into like marketing in other terms, like product marketing, and then CX for like SaaS companies, like in fintech, travel tech. I even worked at a cybersecurity, like ed tech platform. And then, so then like I had 4 different startups, lived through like acquisitions, failures, like so much stuff. And then randomly moved to Chicago during the pandemic from the Bay Area. And I randomly moved here, and shout out to Jim Murray, my the first CEO of Feastables, because he actually found me on LinkedIn and was like, "Oh, you did like marketing and CX, and you live in Chicago. Do you want to like come work at Feastables?" And I literally was like, I remember my brain. Can I curse on here?
Yeah, of course.
I remember my brain being like, "What the fuck is a Feastable? And who the fuck is Mr. Beast?" And I was like, okay, like interviewed, like me and Jim, like fucking love that man. Like Jim Murray, shout out to him. If you guys are not following him, like he's a quiet guy, but like smartest dude I know. Previously Pepsi, RX Bar, then Feastables, now running his own like fractional CFO business. But anyway, so like met him, and in that time frame, it's so funny because before I even went into e-commerce, I was like, I always wanted to be in e-commerce, but nobody would give me a chance. Literally nobody would give me a chance. Like so many well-known brands that you know today, like I interviewed for them and they would be like, "Oh, well, you just don't have D2C experience." And then I got the opportunity to work at Feastables, and the reason like that works so well is because like Jimmy, Mr. Beast, is like very digital experience. So they were like, let's bring that like UX perspective into it. Let's bring that into marketing. Let's bring that into CX. So that's how, and at that time frame, the other funny thing is I was actually interviewing for 2 other jobs, got those jobs, and I declined those jobs. And I remember being in the airport in Philadelphia, calling one of them and being like, "Hey man, like I think I'm going to take this other job." And they were like, "That's so stupid. What the fuck is a Feastables?" And I was like, "I don't know, but I'm gonna go figure it the fuck out." Anyway, so my point is, the story there is that like I think a lot of people in the X space kind of know me as that, but I also think that I'm so sorry if you follow me on LinkedIn, because I've probably shown up on your feed because a lot of people are like now knowing me of like that personal brand building, like content stuff. I will say that like give me 1 second, because I also like totally downplayed what I do today, but I am the CEO and founder of Open Lake Collective, which, because after Feastables, like I decided to start my own CX and retention marketing agency. And so like I've just been like hustling, and I like do that. We work across like brands like ProMix, Equip Foods, Lineage Provisions, Seatopia, like a bunch of like really well-known brands in the health and wellness space, which is also ironic because I used to slang chocolate bars.
Yeah.
Now I slang health and wellness. Anyway, I will shut the fuck up.
No, that's so incredible. Honestly, it's just like, I don't think I realized all of these things about you. Like, this is so insane. I think one of the first things, if we go through the timeline, that I am curious about is you started out hella corporate.
Mm-hmm.
What in the hell? So what I'm curious about is like, how was that experience so early in your career? And are there things like today that you feel like you've learned from a corporate experience?
Yeah. So I mean, I started corporate because I think that was like what was available to me like at that time, right? And so I mean, listen, anybody who knows me outside of the internet or even on the internet, like you know that I like say what I think when I think it, and there's no filter. And I'm just really like rough. Like I wouldn't say rough around the edges. The only reason I said that is because I had bosses that would be like, "You're too rough around the edges. You need to smooth those edges out or you're never going to go anywhere." And I'm like, that's your prerogative, my guy. Anyway, corporate America, I think corporate America, that was like what was available to me. And I did that for a long time. I worked at Wells Fargo. For a long time. And then after that, I worked at this company called Corporate Traveler, which is so ironic. It's part of a big corporation called Flight Center. It's known around like the globe. And I did a lot of I was like this is kind of where I learned like CSM work, like customer success work, because I actually like managed a book of business where I booked travel for companies like Medallia, Pinterest, like but like the execs of those companies. But all that corporate America kind of taught me structure. I'll be on it, like I'll be real. But I've always like when I worked in corporate America, it was just like so tough. It was just like, here's your roles and responsibilities. Here's the things you're going to do. And every time I would like max out at that, I would be like, "Oh, I want to wear on this other hat," and then it would like then I got to like interview internally and do like really weird shit. And so then that was corporate America. And then I had my first opportunity to work at this travel tech company called Travel Bank. They've been since acquired by US Bank. Fun fact though, when Travel Bank first started, we were actually the travel program that powered Brex. So I worked during that time frame. I actually worked with Brex, like the OG team of Brex when they were just coming on the market, right? But like when I worked at that company, that was my first startup, and it was so dope because that was when I first learned like, oh wait, like I don't have to just be in this one box. Like I can put my hat in the ring to try something new, and like got to try on like so many different things, got to learn product marketing, got to learn my core job there was like taking travel support and product support and creating a holistic department to create like customer experience, which is like teaching a travel agent how to like talk engineer is like really hard, okay? Like, and then the vice versa, right? But getting to do these random things like that have really like shape shifted like my career, my skills. And then that's honestly why I'm addicted to startups, because it's like, I don't think I could ever go back to corporate America and just be like, cool, this is my box and this is the only box that I'm going to be in. The last thing I'll say, and like this is honestly why like I started Open Late, because it's like I don't even think I could have left Feastables and done something else unless I was like under 10 employees. Like that, like I hate to say it, and like I don't mean it's about the employees, but I'm your 0 to 10 girl. I'm the girl that's going to help you go to market, launch you, scale you. But then when you start getting like big and massive and you got like 90 plus people and like you got like silos, like I'm good, man. I gotta go. Like I'm good. I'm trying to work with everybody and not say like that's my pie and like you can't have it.
Facts. Holy crap. I resonate with this so much. So I used to also work in corporate America, and I'd go with a suit and tie every day. I used to have like the freaking little comb over thing, and I have to adjust how I talk. How's it going, everybody? It's great to meet you. And I'm like, fuck this, man. I can't live this life for the rest of my life. On top of all of the like red tape that ultimately comes with it.
Yeah.
You know how you mentioned early on, it's just like, okay, hustle is in my blood. Like I'm gonna make sure I go and get it. Like school is expensive, got to pay for this thing. What I am curious about is like, there's a point that you reach when you're like, my basic needs are now good. Like I've hit that point when I've established that. What I am curious is once you hit that point, did you have an idea of how you wanted your career to go? Where you're like, okay, ecom, let me get in this way, or like SaaS, let me get in this way, and play it out like that?
I mean, not really. I've just like I don't know if I've necessarily had an idea. Like I had an idea in the sense that like I wanted to work at startups. Like, I mean, in the Bay Area, man, like, and I think it's this hustle is like across New York or Toronto or other places too, because as that startup culture started like becoming more and more. But when you're from the Bay, it's like, that's literally your life. Like I wouldn't say your life, like your aspirations, because it's just like you got Google and Facebook and all these other things, but then you got all the startups that are starting and they're all chasing IPOs. And I mean, granted, that was really like the time frame then, right? I think now people are chasing more exits or, acquisitions, things like that. But, and whatever, I've been out of like the SaaS game for a while in that sense, but my point is like, I think that was the hustle of it, is just like, I want to work at a startup because I want to I mean, then it was like people taking buses and like one of my fucking best friends, he works at Twitch. And Twitch, like I used to go to their happy hours, like their Friday happy hours where they would bring guests and they would have live shows and all these things. And like, you're so addicted, like in the Bay, you're so addicted to that, wanting that startup culture at that time frame, that I think it was just like, yes, it was hustle, but it was just like a natural thing that I want to go and work for those types of companies away from corporate America. Yeah. I don't know if that like necessarily is true, but like, I crave learning new skills, and I'll never, even at Open Late, like I never put myself in a box. Like I'm like, cool, we're going to figure out the frameworks for this. We're going to do this. Okay, great. What's the next thing? What's the next thing? How do you be bigger and better than you were yesterday? And like learn different things. Like I don't know. And I guess, I don't know, I'm rambling, but the one thing one point I'll make is that I think a lot of times people are like, and there's no fault to this. This is just not my blood. This is not who I am. That they're like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is the only thing I'm going to do. I'm only going to do CX. Like this is that's or whatever it is, or performance marketing, whatever it is, right? And then, but like, I'm the type of person that's like, I want to max out and like be the best that I possibly can be at that. But then I want to go learn something else because then I want to apply that to my craft. And I think that's even how my philosophies of CX and like retention marketing and just marketing in general have really shape shifted, because when I set out on my journey in art school, I wasn't like, I'm going to go and be a consumer behavior like nerd, right? Like, but I'm such a fucking nerd about it now because of the other things that I've learned. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man. I don't know if that answered your question, but like, that's just like, it's hustle, but it's also like the always craving to be ambitious and driven to learn something new every day. And I think I'll be like this until the day I die.
There's also something I feel like when you're in the Bay Area, being surrounded by all of these types of people, it starts to rub off on you. Like when we talk nature versus nurture, there's like the nurturing
Yeah.
part of it that starts to come out. And it's just
Yeah.
like, I guess something that I am curious about is like, I love your energy and how you are, everything to you at this point. But what I'm curious about is like, there's so many people in the world where society says, go this way. It's like, go to school, get this job, be this way, all that kind of stuff. But you seem to have this clarity to be like, no, like I get what you're saying, but I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do it my way.
Yeah.
How did you get that clarity to be able to break away from the matrix in a sense?
Yeah. I mean, shout out to my mom. Like, truthfully, I think it's just like how I was raised. Like, truthfully, like my mom was, it's funny because I'm 40 now and I'm like, oh shit, I'm literally Ellen in my form. Okay, that was my mom saying. Anyway, my mom was a hustler. She was a single mom. My mom literally worked 4 to 5 different jobs at any given time to make sure, I like did a brand breakdown the other day about Jinkos, and I was like thinking about it. I'm like, just to buy me those fucking Jinkos, to buy me like it's not about buying me things, right? So like she literally would hustle to make sure that like I had, I lived in an okay neighborhood. I did the things like she hustled for everything that I had. And like, I think I learned that hustle though from my mom, meaning like, because like, even though she went to school for nursing, she served in hospitals, and then she wanted to teach nursing. And then she figured out ways of like, I'm going to go teach CPR. I'm going to go teach this. I'm going to do this. And then she got a job as a professor at a college in Louisiana. Like, that's a whole backstory. I'm from the Bay, but also grew up in Louisiana. It's a thing. So you know what I mean? Like I got that fucking, like, not only the hustle from her, but the fact that like, I want to go and do that. And you tell me I can't go do that, but I'm going to go show you how I can do it. And even if it's not the traditional pathway that you need me to go, I'm going to go figure it out. And like, that's exact from my career. Like, that's exactly what I did. Like, I mean, people like told me like when I was younger, they were like, you got to go to college. If you want to do this, you got to do this. You got to do these things. And I'm like, I'm not a girl that's like super academic, like dog, like math. I'm like, what? Like I still use calculator. I can't think about it in my head. Okay. Like I'm just not good at it. So for me, I went the art school path because that's a creative journey for me to go down. And then and I thought I was going to be an artist and I thought I was going to do those things. And then I got a taste of corporate America. And then I got a taste of this, I got a taste of that. And then I just kind of shape shifted my own path. And it's not traditional and it doesn't have to be. And I like really don't care what other people's opinions are of it, because like, it's not about the dollar amount that I make. It's about like, am I passionate and can I be creative in whatever my niche is? That's it. That's all. Like at the end of the day, when I'm 60 years old, I want to look back and be like, cool, I did some dope shit. Yeah. And that was really cool. And I learned a lot of shit.
I freaking love that. I think the other piece that I hear a lot too is it's good to have some version of an end destination, like some vision of it, but you have to remember you have to live every single day. Mm-hmm. So it's just like, are you going to hate every single day to get to that end destination? Sure, some days are better than others, but generally speaking, you got to like it. It has to bring you joy every day.
I mean, I think about that a lot because, like, I'll be honest with you, owning your own business is actually a lot harder than it looks. From the outside in, you know what I mean? Like, I think about that a lot. It's like what gets me up every day is I get so excited to like help brands build CX and retention marketing based off of the philosophies that like I've shaped like my entire career, right? And I get to work with really cool people. That's what gets me up. And then but on the other side of it, I like think about this, like if there's ever a point where it's not fun anymore, I don't know if I would still do it. You know what I mean? Because it's like owning your own business is really, dude, even when I was an operator in all of these businesses versus being a founder, the mentality shift is so different. I posted something actually on my Instagram story the other day. I was like, oh, I got to help one of my employees with IT. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but we're going to figure it out together. And I'm like pulling in my product support hat, right? And so I'm like the IT person. Or the other day I was writing like a contract for a new client because there was like different specifications and I was working with my lawyer. But then on the whole other side of it, I'm like working on forecasting and like P&Ls and all this other stuff. And it's like the shape shift between just operating versus being a founder and all the hats that you have to wear amongst it are so fucking hard, but so exhilarating at the same time. And like, I'm lucky that I wake up every day that like, let's go crunch some numbers because that sounds fun, you know?
Have you always had the entrepreneurial bug in you?
I think yes. I think yes, for sure. Like my mom never owned her own business, nor did my dad, but like I've always been the type of person that's just like, I want to do those things. I want to create and I want to build, but I never thought it was like I was capable of it until like later in life, right? But I also think that when you work at startups in general, right, and you work in that like 0 to 10 phase, you have to have a sense of entrepreneurship or entrepreneurial spirit, sorry. And I think that's a quality that you really have to work in those spaces, like in general. So I think I had it in the sense of like, as an operator of like, I'm going to take ownership of these things, ownership of these problems, skills, whatever. But now I have it in like a different form in the sense of like, I will like own my own company and want to do my own things. I mean, Open Late's not my only company. I also have like Midcoast. I'm also starting my own brand. I'm like buying a boring business. Like I'm trying to build an empire. Okay. Like we ain't doing just one, babe. We doing a lot.
I love that. Get those revenue streams up. Oh man, something this does make me think about, and you've mentioned this word a bunch throughout our conversation already, is passion. So I feel like our generation is told a lot, like work in your passion, like find your passion. And like that's language that's thrown around. Curious if that resonates with you and if you're living your passion.
Yeah. I'm living my passion now. I mean, I've lived my passion in different forms. I will tell you that. Feastables, when I worked at Feastables, like that was like the passion of getting to work with like some really bright minds. And like, I didn't even look at it from like a content perspective or working with like a YouTuber, right? Like it wasn't about that. It was about like the passion of bringing something from 0 to 10 was like something I was just like, loved doing, right? So that was a passion for me, right? Like in the other startups that I worked at, the same thing, like a passion of like bringing those things to market or bringing new ideas to the table or figuring out how to market, whatever, right? And I think that today I'm living like Jess's passion, which is in the sense of I get to like create my own pathway and like, and I said this already, but like my passion truly is consumer behavior in the sense of like customer experience, not just being support, customer experience being a channel for revenue and retention. And then on the other flip of it is like retention strategies, like all of those things. And then the one other thing that I haven't really talked about is like, I actually do fractional CMO work for some brands under Open Late. I only take on a few a year because it's like, it is very hard to do multiple of them, but like, even like developing like consumer behaviors through brand strategy as like a brand is building from 0 to 10. So my point is like, I'm living my passion in the sense of all the things that I have like shaped from my skills and my niche. And now offering CX retention and fractional CMO, like brand strategy work, like you don't really see that often, but those are my passions in the sense of consumer behavior, you know? Does that make
For
sense?
sure. Yeah. You're freaking cooking, first of all. And I want to talk about that stuff some more. But I think like I talk about passion so much on these chats, mainly because I get people in my DMs being like, stop talking about the passion stuff. And I'm just like, yo, what are you passionate about? They'll be like, money. I'm like, bro, like that
Yeah,
stuff's ever fleeting. Like you're not gonna be happy in your
dude.
day-to-day. Like it's not gonna work out.
Dude, I agree with you. I actually had like an epiphany like the other day. I wouldn't say the other day. It was quite a while ago, but like, you know, when you're an operator and you're kind of just chasing like how much money I need to make, right? I used to do that all the time. I used to be like, all right, as I was going up in my career, gotta make 110. Now I gotta make 150. Now I gotta make 200. Now I gotta make 250. Like I used to chase like what my salary was to like, and I would be like, oh, great. But then like, I mean, listen, more money, more problems. Okay.
Facts.
It's true. It is literally true. Okay. But like, it's not about like, absolutely. I fucking love money. Trust me. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, bitch loves a Euro summer, a nice Gucci bag. Like, I love money. Okay. But my point is like, I don't need it to feel happy. Like, I didn't start Open Lake Collection because I thought I was going to get rich. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. On paper, I do not make that much money. Okay. Like, you know, like that's the reality of owning your own stuff. You don't start something because of money. You start something because you're passionate about it. You start something because it's like, you want to do something that's really dope for you. Right. And like the other side of it that I think about and this is going to, sorry, we're on your live stream and I'm about to say some dark stuff, but I was like, the true thought that I had was like you can't take money with you. Any of these tattoos that I got, any of this stuff, clothing, all these things, I can't take none of that with me. But what I can take with me is my soul. I can like, I'm not saying like, you know, I can look back and like do all these things, but I can look back in my life and be like, damn, I did some really dope shit. And whether I paid $2 or $2,000 for that, I did some really dope shit in my lifetime and like lived and had experiences. And that's all I care about. Like, it's like, money will come and go, but it's like, it's not about how much money you're making all the time. Like, don't get me wrong. Sure. We all want those things, right? Because society teaches us those things, but it's not about that. Like, it's just, it's literally not. And like, truthfully, that was only a shift for me in like, probably the recent like 3 to 5 years, because I used to chase that a lot when I was in the Bay. I would be like, I won't take that job unless I get this money. But then like, the upside of like half of those jobs that I might have taken would have probably been equity. Probably wouldn't be working right now. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, think about it. It's like more money, more problems. I'm telling you.
100%. Yeah, it's so interesting. Even with items, like everyone has different opinions on this kind of stuff, but it's just a different version of a trophy at the end of the day. Like you put the work in to be able to get this trophy. So that's what it starts to be. And I used to play basketball up until my first year of college. So I was just like, that's what I did. Right. And it's just like, when I thought of passion, it was a very tangible thing. And it's like, I could grab it. Right. So when someone asked me, it's like, oh yeah, I'm passionate about basketball. Hell yeah. What do you mean? And then it reached the point of like, I don't know. You see me, I'm like 6'1", 160 on a good day. And I'm just like, God damn, I'm not going to do nothing with this stuff. And then I had like an identity crisis of like, yo, this is my passion. This is everything. Like now it's nothing. Like, what does this mean? Right.
Yeah.
So there was work that was needed. And I started unpacking like, what about basketball? It wasn't basketball. It was like, okay, I like camaraderie. I like teamwork. I like competitive environments. I like solving problems like as a squad. And I'm like, I can work with that. Like that seems like something that I can do anywhere at this point. And I've evolved my definitions of that over time. So now it's kind of like similar to you. I like to solve problems and I want to see it through. Like I really want to see it through into implementation very quickly and at least learn from that. But it's like very clear to me in my head. It's like, no matter what I'm doing, like that's a passion of mine. Like that brings me so much joy every single day.
Yeah. No, dude, I totally hear you. It's like that. I think that's also why I like this like side of the fractional work. Cause it's like, I get to like implement, I get to do that strategy. I get to see it shape shift a brand and like really help them. And then at some point, because this is gonna be a hot take, y'all, but I actually don't think that you should have like your agency forever. I think a good agency is actually an agency that like teaches the people that work within your company those tactics, so then they can go and expand it and build it further. Like I like straight up, where I know so much about like email and SMS marketing is from Sharma Brands, from shout out to Nick and Ari, my fucking homies. Okay. They taught me so much about just like even brand strategy, good design, content, like so many like avenues, right? But also I worked with Outlandish when at festivals, and Kayla from is one of the founders of Outlandish. She taught me every like all my like tricks and email and back end stuff. She actually sat down and taught me those things. Like, but so like my point is though, the hot take is like, I like helping people, but I'm not trying, like, I get that, like, I only get to do those for like project-based stuff for a short time. And my passion in like running an agency is actually teaching people like new tactics and philosophies so then they can go fly.
Freaking love that. Shout out to Kayla, shout out to Ari, shout out to Nick. Those are the people. I guess what I'm curious about here is like, you've had so much exposure to so many different types of companies and brands at this point.
Yeah.
And if you can, whenever you jump into those businesses, do you notice there's like a top 2 or 3 things that are low hanging fruit that they can deal with?
I mean, yeah. I'm gonna be honest with you. Every single time I come into a brand, it's because they're like, probably were working their support through like an email inbox, and then all of a sudden they were like, we used to only get 1 to 2 emails a day, and now we get 100, and we don't have an agent, and we don't have a strategy. And I'm like, yeah. Could have told you that was coming. Like, you thought you were going to run the ads and like you were going to acquire the customer and not have to deal with customer service issues? That's weird. That's absolutely weird, my dudes and gals. So I think one top thing is that I come into, because I work with a brand from launch or at like a scaling stage. That's where I like to play, right? And so I think the biggest thing is, one of the things that I see is like, just like their CX philosophies of just like thinking about CX as just customer service and not really thinking about it like you need to strategize it, you need to build it, you need to have policies, you need to like have structure, like, you know, maybe 1 or 2 agents. That's not the CEO of a company who's really busy. Okay. Like, that's one of the things. The other things that I do see is like, we talk in like retention marketing a lot. We talk about like, oh yeah, like, or not even just retention marketing, just email marketing overall. Right. We talk about like, hey, yeah, you got to have these flows, like abandon, welcome, these things. Right. But then like, what I also find is like, those are really good at launch, but then you don't come back to them. You're like, people like don't come back to them to understand like their consumer behavior and then build upon it. As you start gaining more and more customers, you got to start segmenting things out. Like, for instance, if I'm a brand who maybe didn't have subscriptions before, right? Very simple win for people is have a welcome series for your first time buyers, but then have a welcome series for your subs. So you're starting retention at day 1, right? But again, it's like, I find that like as a second thing, I find that often it's like, you don't come back to those life cycle flows to really like put in all the consumer behavior, like analysis that you've done, right? With your ads and these other places. And then I think third, I don't know, third's actually like a little bit harder because it's interesting. Like I've worked with quite a few brands at launch and then like watch their team scale, but not delegating fast enough is probably something that I see. You know, you can be really scrappy in the beginning when you're pre-rev, right? And then you start making some revenue, but then like, as you learn your consumer, as you learn these things like CX or lifecycle or whatever these things are, right? At some point, like you and your tiny team, like might need extra help. Like it's like delegate sooner. So you don't come up to bat with like, oh fuck, like I got to get this done right now. And listen, and I get it. Like hiring in the US can be costly. You know, there are other ways of doing things. Like I've scaled my business with my team in like the Philippines, like, and I mean like back end stuff. Like I am so grateful to my girl Francesca, because like this girl came into my business and was like, oh, you needed help with this one thing to execute these things. Okay. And then has like moved across my, like cleaned up things. We put in a team. Then we like go to something else. You know what? Like, and it's not about cost of person. My point is that I admitted that I needed help. And then I've been able to scale because I've gotten that help early enough. And granted, this is like more company related than brand related, but I do see it in brands. I do see it in SaaS companies. It's just like, think about like map out the way you map out your customer journey, map out your business plan, like map out where your stages are, roadmap things. Like that's the biggest thing that I've learned working in SaaS is like, what's on your roadmap? And I see that, like, I don't actually see brands do that soon enough. I mean, would you say, like, I don't know, like, I just thought about that. I don't see brands
That's a bar.
early enough.
That's a bar because you're so caught up in like the ad race too at the same time, right? It's just like feed the engine. What creative to make next? Holy crap. That's like what's going on. So some people like align it with their calendar really well, but for the most part, it's a little bit messy for sure.
Yeah, I know. So maybe that's like actually the third take is like roadmap. Actually, it's a fourth take. Roadmap a little bit earlier. Even if it's not exact, dude, like do a fucking whiteboard session. I'm telling you, you're going to learn some shit.
I have two follow-ups for you now that are outside of the tactics and going back to how you think about things.
Yeah.
So the first one is a 0 to 1 person, or 0 to 10, sorry, as you described it. So like the 0 to 10 person, hiring is tough. Like there's a certain personality I'm sure you enjoy working with and a certain way you like to work. So how do you think about hiring, whether it's persona based or like anything else you might have?
Dude, this actually goes to my Festivals days, and like there's a playbook that Jimmy, Mr. Beast, like put out actually. Yeah. And listen, I might get a lot of heat for this one, but I want to be honest with you, dude. A, B, and C players, like literally, not everybody is an A player, and there are a lot of B players out there, but you can spot a C player or D player from a mile away, right? You can shape a B player to an A player, but a C player and up, it's real hard. So it's like one of the biggest things that I look for is like, I kind of like think about it in those terms of like, are you A, B, or C? And that's what I'm telling you. Like, I'm probably gonna get a lot of slack for that, but like when you are in startup mode, it is not a 9 to 5. It is straight up not a 9 to 5. Sometimes there is an emergency that might happen at 8 o'clock at night. And sometimes I might need to call upon you. I'm not going to not pay you. Trust me. Like I'm gonna compensate you, but it is not a 9 to 5 thing. And and I think it's real, like what I find a lot in operators, just like in this business and SaaS, like in all these other areas, and just like, oh God, I'm about to get a lot of heat for this one. I find that there's a general, like, there's difference between being an operator or having that entrepreneurial spirit, right? Like, and going above and beyond. So like one of my like values of like Open Late and any company that I'm building comes from a philosophy of like CX. You go above and beyond for that customer. So I think about going above and beyond for all of my clients and everything that we do. And so like that's something I look for in personalities is yes, it's the A, B, or C player, but also it's like, well, are you willing to go above and beyond? And it's not about working late. It's actually not about working late. It's the understanding that like something might blow up and you might need to take ownership of that and like jump in at any point in time. And like, it's the ability to say like, I'm going to go above and beyond for what I'm going to do. And then I think from a personality trait, like a persona trait, like I really look for authenticity because it's like, listen, I'm going to come into a team meeting and I'm going to drop an F-bomb. And like straight up, and I might scare you a little bit, okay? But I'm actually a marshmallow inside. I'm like super soft, like, but I might scare you a little bit, like. So I look for authenticity in the sense of like, are you going to be real? Can you even come up to me and just like not be afraid of me to say like, Jess, like I think your strategy here is wrong. Let's do this, like that, like the not being like. Being able to like have a voice, because like anything that I'm building, you have a voice. Like I'm building on authenticity. I'm building it for like to grow and expand. But I don't know. That's a lot of things. I'm gonna be honest with you. I hope I don't get heat for the other one, but
I don't think so. I think the piece that like people always need clarity on whenever they hear A, B, and C players is just like how to spot them. Because sometimes what ends up coming up is like, oh, then your own, like, are you looking for someone who's more junior, someone who's like already an A player? Like, how does that play out? And I'm curious how you frame it.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I'm looking for is drive and ambition. It's like, I don't care if you don't know how to do something, because I'm going to teach you how to do that. Because it's like, because people didn't want to teach me. People would say, no, you couldn't have that job because you're too junior for it. I don't care if you're a junior for a job. I will teach you the ways. I will teach you the philosophy, and I will empower you to go and make your own decisions. But it's drive and ambition. That's what I'm looking for between the A, B, or C. A players absolutely are going to be like your execs. They're going to be like, I've done it. I've been it. I know it. I don't need any help. Your B players are going to be like the striving to want to get there. Maybe they have some things they can bring to the table. They can do this and that. Your C players, on the other hand, are going to only think like, this is my only roles and responsibilities. This is all I'm doing. Like, I'm not going to think anymore outside of the box. I'm looking for A and B, who are people who are like, can bring skills to the table, and B, like, yes, you bring skills to the table, but then you also like have the willingness to learn, and you have the drive and ambition to be A and above. And because that's just the way I see it. And I don't think it's like exactly what Mr. Beast like wrote about, but like, that's how I spot it. And honestly, when I spot a C player, it's 9 times out of 10 of, okay, well, what hours are we working? Okay, well, this is my responsibility. So who else is doing that? And I'm like, if you're already questioning it in the beginning, we got a problem. Okay. Like, we got a problem, because I'm happily will compensate anybody for anything, but I just want the drive to be better than you were yesterday. That is all I'm looking for.
I love that so much. There's something just about being so clear about the type of people you need to work with, and then what that A means to you. So
Yeah.
powerful. Like, that clarity is what everybody should be searching for,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
And
I have one thing.
okay.
One thing. I actually experienced this like a couple months ago. Somebody was like, I don't know how to do that. And I'd be like, well, I don't know. Like, I know how to do it, but I don't know really how to do it. But guess what there is? There's fucking Google, ChatGPT. There's also communities and resources that you can I didn't know God, when I graduated art school, I did not know how to like service customers. People taught me, you onboarded. And then as I started becoming more passionate, I like literally joined every networking CX group that there possibly was to learn from my peers. Like, it's that. So it's the drive and ambition. It's the want to go learn something more. Okay, I will, because I'm going to get some heat if I continue on.
No. I actually share a lot of the same beliefs, and I have like mental models I follow. I'm like, yes, this is great. Like, the reassurance is always good in these conversations.
Yeah.
You've been so generous with your time. I do have a couple final questions, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. So the first one that I'm thinking of is just like, as we see you now, it's like upward trajectory. Like, you had the struggles, but things are crushing, at least what it looks like, right?
Mm-hmm.
And something that I'm curious about is like, along the way, there are like obstacles that you experience. And I was wondering if you had an experience where it was like, yo, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get through this thing, but then you ended up being able to make it through.
Damn. I actually got like really emotional just now. Yeah, dude, every day. Like, I said this, like, owning your own business is really hard. And I can promise you that, like, I've even right now am at an inflection period of my business where it's like, I have to hire more, right? Like, which is great, right? I'm scaling, I'm doing these things, but I literally remember like a few months ago being on my floor, like crying, because I floor cry sometimes, but it's therapeutic. Okay.
I support it.
Yeah. I mean, just like praying and praying for to be as busy as I am today, and I think like what really gets me through, and like now I think back on like those moments of like crying on the floor, or praying for these things, or doing all these things. I always, and it's not about being religious. I just like always trust my gut, and I always trust myself that like, and the universe, that like, if something is meant for me, it will be for me. And if it's not for me, that's fine. There's something else. Like there's so many jobs in my career where I was like, dude, I actually remember this. I'm going to call this company out by name. And there's nothing wrong with it, right? Like I was so excited to get this job at Intercom. And I was like, oh man, like I'm gonna get this job. And they were like, I went through all the interviews, all these things. I did everything I possibly could to do really well on these interviews. And they were like, hey, do you want to schedule time? We were talking. I thought I was getting an offer. And the call was 5 minutes and they said I didn't get the job. And I remember floor crying on that job, like at that moment. But had I gotten that job, I never would have worked at Feastables. I never would have worked at Feastables at all. You know what I mean? And it's not about Feastables, but I never would have had the career shift into e-commerce had I gotten that job. I would have stayed on the same trajectory, right? So my point is like, and what got me through even that moment, and just like the way I think about anything big, small, is like, if something does not work out, it is just not meant for me, and that's okay.
I got the chills off that. Speaking of you guys, I got the chills, the goosebumps, like the hairs on my arm, like standing up. Jeez.
Yeah. I mean, I will say I pray to my mom a lot, so there's that. My mom's out there in the ether sprinkling some gold dust.
Shout out to moms. You've been so generous with your time again. The last question that I have, I ask everybody who comes up here the same question. If you don't have an immediate response, all good. Throw it to me and I can jump in while you think. The question is I'm wondering if you have a favorite quote, and if so, what is it and why?
I mean, literally probably do not have like a specific quote, but I can tell you about a recent one. Mm-hmm. It's actually, like, I'm not trying to like tout like Mel Robbins stuff, but like, I will be honest with you. Like, I've been using this a lot and it's exactly what I was saying. Just like the let them. And I just say that, like, let them now. Like, there's people who have like disappointed me, or jobs I didn't get, or clients I didn't get, or whatever, or, people like doing weird things, whatever. And that quote, or like of let them, just let them, has really shape-shifted, like just letting things go and just being like, okay, I like let them. It's exactly what I was just telling you too. Like, if something's for me, it'll be for me. Like, if somebody's going to do some shitty shit to you, like, let them, and just like walk away from it. So just let them. That's my favorite quote. Let them.
I love it. Something about why I always ask about quotes is, well, there's two purposes. At some point when I have a bunch, I'm going to stitch them together and it'll be like a cool thing to put in the internet. But another thing is just like, when I talk to different people, the quotes change with the seasons of life. Yeah. It's like, what do you need to hear right now? Right. Yeah. So if I asked someone 10 years ago what their favorite quote was, it's probably not the same as it is now. So it's like hearing the let them, it's like why it resonates is like the season of life that it is right now. So something super powerful.
I mean, I totally agree with you. I think if I would have thought really hard, the quotes that probably would have resonated in my life probably would have been real emo and sad. So let's not go there. Okay. Still an emo girl at heart.
Oh my God. That's so funny. Life also just throws like its randomness in along the way. So it's just like how you react to it is always an interesting thing. Like my, ended up going to this is so random, like kind of just off track entirely. Yeah. I ended up at a Jonas Brothers concert yesterday.
Oh my God. Yeah.
What the hell? Like, I probably knew like, I know what the hell do you have to? I probably knew like one Jonas Brothers song my entire life, but it was just like one of my wife, one of her friends got free tickets. It's like, oh, do you guys want to roll? And it's like, yeah, sure. Why not? And it was sick. Like, it was super sick.
Dude, I mean, it's just letting yourself like go with the flow of life, right? Like, I'm not a Jonas Brothers fucking fan, but if somebody would have given me like a Jonas Brothers ticket, like I would have been like, hell yeah. Dude, like concerts. I went to a I'm probably gonna butcher this, Wallen concert in Dallas, and free tickets, like whatever, through Inveterate, RIP. I went to that concert and it was one of the best times I ever had. And I like made so many connections, like deeper connections with people from that, because it was like a box thing and you had like time to talk and stuff. Sure. But my point is, like, sometimes just book. Yeah. Say yes. Say yes. Because you don't know what's going to happen. Right.
Yeah, for sure. Jess, you're the best. Any final words you want to leave with the audience?
Don't at me about my philosophies on hiring, because that's a sticky subject that I never talk about. But that's it. it. So sorry if you're following me on the internet. Please like and share. Thanks.
I feel like no one ever freaking plugs themselves. So Jesus, I gotta do it for you guys.
Oh man.
So there's Twitter being one place. Everybody tap in with Jess. Everybody tap in. Everybody tap in. Another place is on the LinkedIn side of things. Connect, send a message, all those good pieces, and so much going on. So check out all the different endeavors. You still doing the pod? You still doing the pod actively?
Yeah. I do the pod, like I drop an episode every week. So yeah, LinkedIn, Twitter. I'm probably more on LinkedIn than anything. Instagram, TikTok, underrated for like, I've gotten so much business from those channels. Also YouTube. I do Above the Fold podcast. Lots of really awesome guests. I have Takova's up next. I have the CMO of Takova's up next, and then like I'm having Suze Doling up next. Like some real baddies. Like you've got to check it out. We talk about brand building, marketing, CX, anything under the sun. And then I don't know, call a girl. You need some help? CX retention. I got you.
I love it. I love it. And did you say like underrated is TikTok and Instagram? Is that what you said?
For business, yeah.
That's
I get a lot of leads from those channels, dude. So many. It is so crazy. Cause like, but again, for me, I'm like 0 to 10. Like I like helping people start. And that's where my people are. But I also think baddies protect baddies. So that, that's where my girls are. So
I love it. I love it so much. I love it so much. And I think like everyone's on social anyways. So it's like literally everybody's there. You can pick them up and it's just like, if you're speaking to them, it'll find them. Like that's what'll happen at that point.
I mean, yeah, I'm speaking a lot. Sometimes I cringe myself out, but we're doing it.
No cringe. Oh, I got to put it all out there. See what happens. But Jess, you are the best. I appreciate your time so much. I appreciate you. We didn't get into any of the tactics. We kept it more personal than anything. Maybe we got to run it back at some point, but you're the best.
Dude, I'll run it back. That was really fun. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. I love it, Jess.
All right. Everybody have a great day.
I'll talk to you soon. Later.
Bye.
Oh man, everybody. Jess is such like a ball of energy, How could you not love Jess? How could you not get excited about a conversation? Shout out to Emmett in the chat. Sorry, Emmett, I didn't give you love earlier. I didn't have my chat box opened where I could see what was going on. But what up, man? It's always good to see you. It's always good to see you and talk back and forth. But Jess is incredible. Like, there's so much about her journey that I personally resonate with. I'm not sure how many people in the audience, but like I'm gonna guess a bunch. Like being a 0 to 1, a 0 to 10 type of person is a very specific type of person. Very specific type of person. And to hear how she speaks about it is just like, I'm nervous. Like I'm nervous about the like post 10 or greater than 10 people at a company. Like I get nervous when it's that many folks. That part is real. Like there's a lot of overhead that comes with it in terms of communication, process, alignment, and everything that's needed. Whereas when you're just plowing through and trying to figure things out, it's easy to just say, screw the noise. I'm good. Let me just chop through and see what we have going on. But oh man, everybody, if you're just tuning in, I'm seeing the numbers start to climb. We have Nick Shackelford joining us pretty soon here. But if this is your first time here, welcome to the party, y'all. This is ThumbstopLive. Now, you might ask yourself, what the hell is ThumbstopLive? Just to give you some context real quick here. ThumbstopLive, you can check us out on X, Twitter. That's the primary platform where we're posting a lot of information. We also have a LinkedIn page, if that's where you're at. Shout out my LinkedIn people. But we are streaming every single Monday to Friday from 11 a.m. Eastern to 1 p.m. Eastern. And we're bringing so many people from the community that you know and love onto the stage so you can see what we have going on. So with Nick joining us, I'm so excited to have Nick. Like I've surprisingly like known him for a really long time, and I've met him in person once. It was just like a quick dap. What up? But having to see Nick online and the persona he has, and then also experiencing him a little just like in person and through DM, like it's so interesting. He strikes me as such like a caring, invested human. So I'm excited to get into conversation with him. And then having Jess on here a little bit earlier, for those of you who caught Jess is incredible. Like Jess, she mentioned it early, which is why I kind of steered away from it, because I think everyone and their mamas asks her about Feastables and like what that experience was. And she said she had a lot of fun. So I want to run it back with her so we can get into it. but just seeing how Jess is wired is so interesting. And like through these conversations with other greats in our community, there's so many foundational elements. And for anyone who's been here before, you've heard me say it before. But the really cool thing about Jess's story is again, there's a level of clarity that she's had in what she wants and how she wants to operate that is unmatched. And for anyone that I've spoken to, that level of clarity and how they want to operate has always been super clear. What they worked on might be different, but what they wanted to achieve and how they achieved it, man, they've always had laser focus. And then honestly, like people are so cool. Like one of the really fascinating things about being able to do this is like you learn the other side of humans. Jess went to art school and then she had I think a merchandising fashion, like not can't draw. That's what she said. Don't flame me. She said that, but she had like a merchandising background. I was like, yo, what? So that's why she had all the amazing artwork. Yesterday, when I had, well, I've had a bunch of people on, but I had Cody on earlier this week, Cody Whittick. And Cody, he used to freaking be a basketball player in college, played 4 years, 3-and-D hooper. I had Marin on earlier. He was a freaking semi-pro soccer player or football player if you're in the UK or in Europe tuning in. I had David Herman on, who was an A&R at a freaking label. Jess Bachman a couple weeks back. Jess was an underground DJ. Philip Jackson. Philip was in a 7-year traveling band with his wife. Andrew Foxwell was in a hip hop freestyle rap group. I'm like, yo, who are these people? How do they have all of these intricacies to them that like we just don't know on the internet? We see the tweets, we see the tactics, we see how to execute. But it's like, wait a second. You're telling me you used to freestyle rap. Can I not hear that right now? Like, are you kidding me? Like, can we just have a rap battle and get this thing going? Like that part is so freaking cool to me, y'all. And I think having Nick up here, I found a couple tweets just on his background. So I'm excited to see what he has going on. But hearing, like Jess went to fashion school, like Jess being in fashion school and then ultimately shifting into SaaS, e-com, now her own business was so cool. And then tying that to all of the stories I've already heard about people in our community, I was like, yo, people have so many layers to them. This is so cool. But again, everybody, I'm seeing that viewer count start to climb. If this is your first time here, welcome to the party, y'all. I'm so excited to have you here. This is ThumbstopLive. We are streaming every Monday to Friday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. And if you want to tap in with us, you can tap in at ThumbstopLive, at ThumbstopLive, at ThumbstopLive. A lot's going down over there. So you can make sure that you catch our guests and you catch our clips that come after the fact. But with that being said, I spoke about it a little bit earlier, but today for the final guest, we have Nick Shackelford. I think I've known Nick for, it might be coming up on 3 years now. And again, like our paths, we've never got too deep or anything, but we've met in person once. We DM a ton. And I've always been so impressed by obviously the brand he's built as a professional, but just like the level of care it seems he has, like always he's present, it seems, or he's like joking around or being able to like be present in the moment. And that's something that I've greatly admired, at least from a distance, because it's something that I'm always working on. So with that said, I would love to welcome this guy to the stage, y'all. So everybody, if we can give a quick round of applause for the man, the myth, the legend, Nick Shackelford.
God, I hate when you do that, dude. I hate when you give me that intro because I'm over here just cheesing like a little girl.
I have to, man. I have to do you justice. You're the big dog out here. I love it, man. I love it.
It's good to see you, man. Happy Friday. I know it's been a good day, but it's about to be even a better day. So anybody that's spending time with us this morning, let's go, dude. About to jump in.
I love it, man. I love it. How's your week been?
Dude, this was a crazy week. Obviously, I do a lot of things public, right? Like I share a lot of things from family to the brand side to the agency side. And this week we're raising at a $250 million valuation, and we just crossed $60 million. Like it's absolute insanity, dude. Because we've known each other for just over 3 years, and I've always been agency. I've always been like paid media guy, right? And so this experience, I was literally thinking. I tweeted yesterday. I was like, "Damn, it's been a very long week." because this is so new, man. Like this is not like, let me just like back up 2 seconds real quick. I've known Aaron, who's our founder CEO, for 8 years. I've known him for 8, but we've been in business for like 6 or 7. And like I get vision. I understand that. I don't need a vision. Like I don't need people to come to me and be like, yo, this is where we're going. Because I'm a numbers dude. I want to be like, this is what you have to hit. This is how fast you need to hit it. Here's the team you get to play with. And I'll go, done. Say less. That's me, right? Like 100% stop on that. And so when it comes to like painting the picture of we're fundamentally disrupting an industry that is consumption of alcohol, that's consumption of state altering things, right? Like it's bringing consciousness into a very different world. And like I don't need to go there to understand what my job is. So it's been a very weird situation this week because I've had to sell vision. I've had to get people to buy into these things. And when you have close friends and friends and family come in and be like, yo, where's this going? It's a lot, Ev. It's a lot, bro.
Holy crap. Holy crap. This is insane. This is insane. I want to get into that more, but I also want to say for like our audience here, like you kind of alluded to, this is new, but I kind of want to talk about like the quick tell us about yourself, what you're about, all of the different ventures you've explored, some more professional, personal, whatever you want to share. Yeah. And then we can start to dive in if that's okay.
Yeah, 100%. My name is Nick Shackelford. I am 11, 12, 13 years in the space, depending on who you ask. And my son is 16 months old. And so, look, I used to be like, my son's 1 year old in a couple months, but I learned from hanging out with a lot of moms that like, you got to tell them the months, which is just the weirdest thing. I don't know why people do that. But I've started early on, like I'm playing with the fidget right now, because this is kind of where like my bread and butter came from. And so I always have one with me to remind me kind of where it started, but I'm a performance marketer at heart. And then that kind of steered me into agency world. And then I just got really, really good at running traffic and communicating, which is like, that's what you need in agency land 1.0. Agency 2.0 is kind of like where we're all kind of getting into, is you need to know how to run. I would even say we're in 3.0, but let me talk about 2.0, where we've been. 2.0 is like, you have to be able to understand different marketing channels, and you have to understand creative, but you didn't really have to be great at it because you can kind of leverage platform to do what you wanted to do. So I spent bulk of the years there. I'd say like that's like 6 of the 12 years of doing it. So more than half of my life of a big spend. And then it kind of transitioned into, well, if you really want to be a good marketer, or if you really want to be someone that can make, I guess, like significant money, because you can be great as a marketer, but until you elevate into what brand is, or until you elevate into ownership of these things, you're doing good, but you're not doing like change my life situation, right? And I think that's kind of where I've been these past 2-3 years, bring both brand side and agency side. Because I definitely live on the tolerate as much as you can until you kind of crash out situation. So there's no other way of putting it. Like there's just a lot going on, and that's usually the biggest knock I get. But I would tell you this, brother, I have an incredible woman that supports me. Her name is Shauna, who's like my backbone of everything. Not even wifey. Like wifey, I'll shout Shanice out all day. But you have like my business rock, Shauna, that comes into it, and I have a second one coming through now. Her name is Kiana, and so I have like this like infrastructure of really strong women that allow me to just earn and work and execute and deliver across the board, across any venture that I have. And so that to me is where my mindset is at this current moment, but it's super rooted in big opportunities. It doesn't have to be even beverage. It could be anything that I think the consumer can actually need or benefit from. And I like to live there, man. That's where I'm at right now.
Insanity. So one of the things that I love is how many like honeypots that you have your hands in. And common wisdom will say, yo, you can only do one thing really well. Focus on that one thing. Like you have the foundation that supports you there, but what do you have to say to that and anyone else who also wants to have their hands in so many different pots?
I actually agree with that. I think you yourself by yourself can only do one thing really, really well. But I don't think that applies to you, a part of multiple teams that know your vision and know what you're trying to do, can do many things. Like I think the stress that you're willing to withstand is directly correlated to the success that you should have if the work is consistent. And that's like a very convoluted way for me to say, everything I do is from a partnership standpoint. There's not a single thing that I corely own. So if I go down like the list of things, you have Breeze partnership, Lucid partnership, Constant partnership, Structured partnership, Commerce Roundtable partnership. Even like my brand Nick is multiple people involved in this stuff. And so I think there's that area is, I agree. I think you could only be absolutely incredible at one thing, but this is also back in the day before Facebook was a thing, or distribution across multiple channels with a click of a button. Like, we're streaming here, you're going to distribute this everywhere. We're also live on X, right? So I think that is a dogma that people subscribe to, but I think now it should be a little bit different. But it's also if that's what you want, right? Like, there's a lot of people that are just absolutely crush it, do one thing, and then their major outcome happens. I just think we have more capacity, and we'll probably get there with AI and the support of AI. What can't you do is up to what you really are not actually interested in.
And something I feel like I'm curious about here is like, I want to get into like designing your life and career a little bit more later. But where I'm starting from is did you always have the entrepreneurial bug in you?
No, actually, I feel better as a number two or as an employee, if I'm being like wholeheartedly honest with this, because I would from soccer, when I left playing soccer years ago, the only thing I cared about, like, this is like the kind of like the mantra was, I want to be respected and appreciated in an industry that I care about. That was it for soccer. I cared about that. I had a great locker room. I played for the team that I wanted to play for. And then ever since I've left that, every place I've gone, I've kind of like wanted to build that locker room culture, because that's how teams win championships. You got to have a good vibe, right? And so I think look, homie had a man bun and everything. Like, he did his thing. He was about that life. Like, he was in it. So I will say it was never entrepreneurial, but it was always, I like really good teams because I've always been on really good teams. To even like this, right? You obviously, we all know Taylor Holiday, right? Where I really stepped into what it meant to be an incredible core player in a fast growing team with a good coach, Taylor being player coach in that sense. But like, we blew up. Like, that was like, we were on the map so hard. It was like us and Mute 6. And that was like the early OG agencies that were really doing anything. And a lot of that was built off name brand between Tay, myself, and a couple other core people. Look, Savannah went out there and did her thing, and a couple other guys and girls went to other core D2C brands. So I will say it wasn't that. And if all said and done, like, even now, having a lot of ownership in a lot of businesses, if someone came along and was like, hey, I think you'd be a great employee over here, I'd be like, sign me up, dude. That means I don't got to worry about wiring money into this company. I get a check. Fucking sign me up.
I love asking athletes this question, and honestly, like, parents as well. But something in our society and like in our generation that we hear a lot of is work in your passion, or it's like follow your passion, find your passion. And something I'm curious about is like, if that's something you subscribe to, and if you're living your passion now, would you say?
I think I tried to subscribe to this, but at the beginning, you need money. Like, you need to make sure that the basic needs. I think you can't necessarily live and pursue your passion unless you have a tolerance or a safety net or a threshold of income to where, like, yeah, like, look, I'm not making what I would love, but man, I'm fucking happy. I'm great to be around. Right? I think that's a good trade-off. But I do subscribe when you have, what do they call it? Your ikigai? It was an ikigai, or there's like a term for this, when you have your passion plus your profession plus your financial income, like, or your financial output. Like, when it all comes together, you're like, dude, I'm living and working in my thing that gives me a life, and I'm a fun person to be around. But I think you have to like get there. But because there's tons of jobs that I'm not super stoked that I had to do at the beginning, or the whole work for free and then ask what you're owed. But at the beginning, you have to kind of cover your core necessities, because outside of that, and you're just working on passion, but you got a wife and a little baby at home, she's gonna be like, dude, I'm glad you're feeling like you're fulfilled, but we're fucking broke and we need some money. So go get a job, dude.
Honestly, to stay grounded in that is so important. And honestly, like, the ikigai statement, definitely agree. And I think one of the things they talk about is like the hierarchy of needs. You know, it's like at the top, it's like you are your full self, and then at the bottom layer, it's just like, I need safety, I need shelter, I need food. And it's like, if those aren't there, that's all that matters. And that's definitely what I'm hearing, is that through line. But one of the things like I'm thinking about is, so I played basketball up into my first year of college, and I'm just like, yo, I'm not a freak of nature and like can jump out of the gym. So I don't know if I want to be able to do this. But the word passion to me was so interesting because it was like growing up, it was so attached to a tangible thing where it's like, if someone asked me, I would say, yo, basketball. Yeah, that's it. Like I'm going to work in that somehow. Right. But then when it didn't exist anymore, there was almost like a question of like, all right, like what the heck am I? Or like, what is this at this point? So when I ask this question, I'm always curious if people have gone through the experience, because I almost had to unpack like, all right, what about basketball was I passionate about? Teamwork, competitive environments, going towards the same goal, solving problems that are kind of complicated. And it's like, yo, if those are things that actually make me feel really great, can I accomplish those anywhere at that point? And like try to find the right things
Yes.
that like encourage me to do that, essentially.
Dude,
So
first off,
yeah, go ahead.
First
Yeah.
off, if you're like, yo, what do you think sports I'm into? Like, what do you think? I would have said basketball, 100%. I would have not
For
even
me?
stuttered on that. I would, 100, yeah, for sure. The cut, the vibe, like I feel like underneath this, yeah, you're wearing a flannel, but I know you got like Jordans on or like basketball shorts to your ankles over there, bro. 100%. Okay.
Yo,
Okay.
if I stand up right now,
I know you do, dude. I know you do. I know you do. I know you do. I know you, bro.
I'm sweating.
Okay.
I'm sweating.
Okay.
Jesus.
Shit, you said something about passion, and I popped. Okay. It's similar to what I just said, which is the locker room. Like you want good people and a good project, and you want the opportunity to win. But the beautiful thing about this is because you played at a competitive level to where like you probably could have kept going or done like intense 3v3 or like actual competitive intramural, which meant like you understood there's just so many things in this. And now having a son, I kind of think about this. The things that you can learn by being on a team of sacrifice, consistency, balance, preparation, listening to authority, uh, sometimes getting humbled, losing, training to lose, training to win. Like there's a lot of these like innate things that you learn that you can't just get by yourself or in the traditional schooling system or even in the normal work system that sports provides. That I think a lot of people take away. Look, I'll put it this way: you can tell when someone's like, "Yeah, I play tennis," or you can tell when they're a solo. Uh, a sport player, you just know they're just built a little bit different and they're just a little bit off.
I feel like that checks out so much. And I guess you've mentioned the locker room and like team sports a ton. There's two questions that I have. The
Yeah.
first one is like you yourself trying to find the right teams. Like how do you spot the talent that you want to associate yourself with? And then the follow-up, I can bring it up again later. It's like when you're hiring people into that team, into that locker room, like the mental models you might use for that.
Yeah, so I hire across three things: effort and interest, which I learned this really aggressively at Common Thread, and then the way that they're able to take feedback and the way that they want to receive feedback. Like I make them giving you a document at the beginning is like, I learn and I receive feedback this way better than receiving feedback this way, and especially because most of our teams are remote. I have some in-person meetings with them, but it's usually different. It's usually like honeymoon stage. You come together and you like love each other. Like there's really no when you're a hybrid org, when you get in person, it's usually like raw good energy, but then you kind of go away. So I try to keep most of like our business as usual conversations on Slack or Zoom calls or whatever. Feedback has to be received in the way in which they tell you they want to receive it, and also the way in which you have to communicate. This is how I usually give feedback. I'm very vocal, I'm very descriptive, I'm very contextual, and I like to give it frequently because the quote I always use, and we'll go back to the sports thing because it's a very common thread here, is if you are a part of a high performing team or a high performing plan, you're constantly getting feedback and correction of positioning. If you get zero feedback, if you get zero, this is where things are going, unfortunately, you're not a part of the plan. Like you're not a part of the greater, you're not included, you're kind of just playing a role, but you're not important or integral to growth or the progress. That's from sports, that's to internal on a business level. And so when I'm asking like, how do you like feedback? Here's how I like to give feedback. How can they give feedback to me? Managing up is a big one. A lot of people, especially newer to the workforce, aren't good at being like, hey, yo, you actually gave me wrong information and it kind of put me down a path for 3 days and now I'm fucked. But now you're asking for this back. Like they have to be able to communicate a little bit upwards to us and the people around them. And then I think the effort and interest, there's sometimes especially remote, there's nobody looking over your shoulder outside of crossing off the tasks in Asana or Notion. There is this I have to kind of show you all the extra things that I'm doing, not because I need to get validity in what I'm going or what I want, but more so I'm doing all this extra stuff and it's in a beneficial way. And I think that's really difficult for people that are used to working in person or just not proactive communicators. It doesn't really lend themselves into being really, really good on an online work by yourself, lone ranger sort of experience. And so to find those types of it's really difficult. That's what I've seen what's worked in our high growth teams from the agency standpoint, which is always moving to the brand standpoint.
Will you look to find people who align with how you like to give feedback and how they want to receive feedback, or are you pretty open to the variance there?
I'm pretty open to it as long as they're clear on it, though. Like some people don't know what they want. I like people that are outspoken or confident in their direction because there's one thing I do this with the wife and I do this with the teams. The person with the loudest and strongest opinion owns the direction of where we're going. If I don't have an opinion stronger than your opinion, if I don't have a correction of what is being proposed, I'm going to purposely step back and be like, cool. I don't have an opinion of where we're going with this, and I'm going to trust you because you're a smart person. You're here. We'll go with you. It's the same with food, right? It's like if wife is like, "Are we doing burgers? Or are we doing Mexican?" And she has a Mexican. Even if I wanted a burger, she's stronger in that direction. We're damn well going to go get the Mexican.
I love that, man. That's so good as a mental model of just like, okay, like what's my level of care here? Or like, what is my, like, how strong of an opinion do I have? That feels like it works so well. Something I am curious about now is like, we've talked about hiring and bringing people into the locker room. You yourself, you freaking banged off like a stack of businesses that you are partners in at this point.
Yes.
So it's like you yourself, how do you figure out who you want to partner with on these different adventures, like an Aaron, you know?
Oh, I have, and it's funny because Aaron is probably the first weirdo partner of my collection, and I use that term in a very loving demeanor. Is I have okay, so I look at I have a Jake, I have Jake, James, Jimmy, Chase. I'll include Shauna, I'll include Shanice, and a lot of them are specific and to the point. A lot of them are like, this is what we're doing, where we're going. I'll even include Ovid on this too. All of them are like, here's where we're going. This is what our goals are, and it's just literalness. And I like the literalness of targets. It's kind of like scoreboard. I'm chasing what the scoreboard needs to tell me. I got a time that's clicking down. I got a points I got to hit, and then when I come to my first visionary, big picture, scary fucking goals that we're going after, like this is really the first one that it really is a lot of like raw. And I'm learning how I live in that because I know I don't need that, but I'm wondering if it's so big, how many people around me need that to understand or to be able to comprehend the opportunity at hand or the intensity needed at hand. And so I'm learning how I like to play with this. I'm learning how I like to collaborate with this. And even this week, I'll share this is a pretty intimate conversation, but it's okay. We jumped off a call where like a lot of leadership is on it, and he goes, "It's like, dude, I really need you to like echo the energy and the intensity that I'm bringing right now." And I go, actually, dude, I disagree. I don't think I need to echo that for you. I think I need to fall in line, execute so that people understand what needs to be done from it. Yes, like an ownership standpoint, we're both obviously owning it. But like at the end of the day, like you're my CEO and I'm gonna play my role. And I think they just need to see me get shit done. So that way I don't have to echo it and go rah rah rah. Because obviously we're both gonna be stoked about this. But I can't match you on that. I think you gotta eat that. And he goes like, okay, that's good feedback. That's a good mirror. And I think that's the first time I'm able to go back and forth with somebody at this level, with this intensity, with the stakes at this high.
Huge, man. There's something interesting. I was talking to Philip Jackson a couple weeks ago. So future commerce and just like commerce is culture. And
Yeah.
something he was talking about was the idea of like, okay, there's people who are visionaries, there's people who are passionate, and then there's the execution bucket in general, right? So it's
Yep.
like if everyone's a visionary, no work gets done. If everyone just has passion, same, like you might not have direction on where you're going. And what I'm hearing from you is just like, yo, you need someone who's going to freaking master the execution no matter what and be super clear on like who that person is and complement the other folks involved in that process. So I love that, man. That's huge.
It's the Venn diagram, right? Like it's like what, and Phil actually did a small presentation for our leadership team talking about like the importance of brand and what lore meant. I have his book Lore sitting literally right here. Shout out to Phil. I have his other one, which is sits on my desk. Like this is probably one of the better books that anybody that cares about the space, the multiplayer brand. I feel like I'm a multiplayer brand, so this is like kind of echoes who I am. So shout out to Phil on that one. I there's a Venn diagram, and I don't think this is just for ownership or at the leadership level. I think this is at anybody that's a part of a team that's executing in your area. You have the things that mean the most to you. You have the things that mean the most to the organization, or you can organization. You can do department. You can do partnership, or you can do like your boss, coworker, and there's like this things in the middle that like if you're both aligned that this is important to both of us, then you know exactly what's executing, and that there's really no misalignment because you're both saying like these things are important to me but might not be important to the organization. This is important to the organization but might not be important to me, but like these 4 or 5 things are important to both of us. Then you usually know where you can find alignment or you can find consistency around deliverables, and I think that's a nice way to think about it.
So you have your hands in all these businesses, like I've already said 10 times on this. What I am curious about is like after you get out of like your professional career, your professional soccer career, like, did you have a map in mind where you're like, all right, yo, agency, I love marketing, then I'm gonna jump into SaaS, then I'm gonna jump ecom, and like mapped it out that way in where you were thinking you were going?
I think it was. I mean, when I left, it was like 20, it was like early 20s, mid 20s. So I'm Orange County based, right? Born and raised, and I did schooling in Missouri, and then I came back to Orange County, and we grew up middle to lower class in like a divorced family, and so like what I knew was like, dude, I need money. Like I knew I needed money, and when I was playing for the Galaxy, like there was not a ton of money. The only dude, I was like the most money I was getting paid was working at a high school as a high school soccer goalie coach and doing private training. And like I was driving a Prius or Subaru all over Irvine to Santa Ana to Lake Forest to get paid, right? And so you understand like in when you're training kids on like basketball, right? Like you show up to different random gyms, you're sitting in the fucking car lot and you're just like waiting with a bag of balls. Bro, you don't feel so dude, you feel so broke when you're about to walk in as a grown ass man with a bag of balls and fucking cones and bibs, and you're like, hey, by the way, like this is $50. Like, can I get like, can you, do you have cash? Can I get that today? Like, dude, when you have to, and like, I wasn't a door to door salesman, but when you have to go ask a mom when you're about to go train little Ava, who's 13, to pay me my $75 or $50, like, dude, that feeling is so humbling, dude. I'll tell you that much. Like, dude, when you have, you take a performance, man, you have to like, okay, I digress. That like, I knew that I did not want to go back. And if I had to go back to the soccer fields or a random park in Irvine or Santa Ana to go collect, then I would. But the fastest way, and I think this is like a what we're all in, because obviously everyone listening to this is in the internet space. The fastest way to generate anything that is not necessarily trading time for money is to do something on the internet, is to sell something. And so I knew that I had effort and interest in the marketing world and telling stories. And it started with Pepsi, then it went to Apple. From Apple, it went to agency. From agency, it went to like my own physical stuff. And so like it kind of just continually progressed. And it was rooted in 2 core skills. One, I understood marketing storytelling, and 2, I understood technical execution on these platforms, specifically Meta and Google. So if I had these skills, I was like, okay, cool. I know I'll always have a job somewhere, even if it's not the best. I know I'll continue to get paid. And over time, the hardest part, I think, progression for like creative strategists or media buyers or marketers is they're not great at developing teams, or they're not great at working in larger organizations. And there's like a fine line you got to play with. Like I'm technical enough to build a department, or sorry, I'm technical enough to manage the channels, but I'm also good enough at healing or dealing with other people's and that need to manage these channels. Because if you can't develop a team or develop others around you, like you're really just not going to progress. And it's okay. You could be incredible. I know incredible marketers that cake and make a bunch of money, but they're by themselves and have like a couple offshore people. Nothing wrong with that. So I think for me, like what really matters the most to me is if I can continue to be a part of teams or develop teams in whatever it is that I'm interested in, most likely online, because I get to work with more diverse group of people. That'll be cool.
And I I'm bringing you back now to like earlier in your career and then the transition stages. Cause like what you had mentioned is on behalf of other people. So like if you're a creative strategist, but you can't build out a team, it's harder to just think about progression. You could crush, but it'll be a little bit
Yeah.
different. So for you, how was the transition between like superstar IC to then managing people to then being an executive?
I think necessity, like pure necessity. So when we started Structured, I think that's like the earliest place. No, actually, Common Thread. Taylor was like the first person to be like, hey, like before Common Thread was agency wide, where I was just a really good media buyer and I had a bunch of clients. Then I went to Common Thread and he was like, look, you need to be a strategist, you need to talk to clients, and then you have to have a team of media buyers, designers, and editors underneath you. And that was like the early stages of pod marketing, right? Like that's pretty much now standard for any agency or even any marketing department. They're a fucking pod. And that was okay. My role is communication, strategy, and understand execution. And so that allowed me to continue to move into, I knew the roles and I knew the plays that these people need to make in their specific roles. And then as soon as I left Common and when we started Structure with Jake, it made sense for me to go like, hey, I already know how to run this department. Yes, I obviously have to be hands-on keys as we continue to develop. But as soon as we got to a place where we had enough money, I just set up what I knew. And then it kind of altered and changed over time. And then when we acquired Chase's team he had David and Amelia at the time, we bought the email agency, and that itself had its own structured and own pod team. And so we're like, oh, like I kind of get that. We see how that management looks like. And then what was the hardest thing is when you're a department lead, but you're not really an owner of the P&L or understand the metrics. And this is where like I have a huge appreciation for the financial literacy and understanding of the back end work that Jake had to do for us to build early at Structure while I was just trying to get as much deal flow as possible. Is like you can be so efficient and work your ass off, but if you don't understand where the time is going or the cost of the time that you're putting in or the profitability of what these contracts need to be, you're basically just wheeling and dealing and you don't even know how much you're really making. And that's even before you understand tax and where you live. And so like I didn't know that. What I knew was I knew how to close, I knew how to lead, and I knew how to communicate. And so over time, I think you just start learning it as you get reps and stuff. So I think the progression was you have to be an incredible IC, then you have to actually have the interest to want to lead and manage. Because this is the weird gap that I think a lot of creative strategists or media buyers or junior marketers get into. Their value is in the output or the direct correlation of the deliverables that they have. And as soon as you move out of like, my value is not in the deliverable, my value is in managing the process of the deliverable, but yet it can't really be seen or felt. That's where a lot of people I feel like get stuck in no man's land, especially in the marketing space.
So this is where it gets so interesting because I think like you mentioned necessity, but then there's also the version of like, I think you're doing it really well, man. Like when you describe the different places you were at and then the transitions.
Yeah.
So so the people who are going to like watch this and also catch the clips that will stitch together after are going to be at all layers of the organization. And when I talk to experts, especially earlier in their careers, like doing really well and like you said, output based, sometimes they can't describe like why they do what they do. It's like I just know. Like my intuition tells me, and like I've done this enough, like I just know, right? But then when you scale, it's about building that back end and the process out so other people can replicate what you have done. So I guess the real question I'm curious about was like, it was necessity, but were any of those stages painful for you? If so, how'd you get through it?
So I wish I would have had like Loom SOP documentation processes back in the day. Because now, dude, you can like log into Loom and be like, hey, like this is how I do what I do, and then you can be like, click make SOP. Like that's a fucking gift to all of us in the marketing world. For one, two, I don't think Loom's the only one. I think there's a couple other ones. So media buying specifically, when there's first off, I think that's also a lie where people on the marketing side they're going like, hey, I actually am not like, oh, I don't know. Like, I just, I'm just good. I just do what I do, right? When somebody tells you I do what I do, they're basically saying like, I'm not going to fucking tell you how much I'm going to do because then you're going to tell me I need to do more on output base. And then you're going to be like, yo, you're doing less than you did yesterday. So I think there's a little bit of shenanigans up in that, but every role is broken out into like, what is expected by the output of the day or output of the week. And so as a media buyer, your usual thing revolved around uploading, research, analysis, and reporting. Okay. Well, what day do you do all these things? And what do you do when you're not doing these things? and you have to be pretty transparent, right? And I think early on in the agency, like we try to do like screen recording, and we also, and you know this because we had a couple Canadians up on the team, and they were not about letting us screen record on a device that we didn't own as a company, and it's really difficult to understand output or measurement of what is expected. But I would say at the beginning, you have to be super honest with what you're going and what your time is, and I think now more than ever, especially now that AI is starting to come into conversations of what can they do task based and task wise, and if I tell an AI agent to do it, then am I going to be expected to do more? That's the correct question. You should be expected to do more so you can go ask for more money. The more responsibility, the more integral you get to like leading these AI agents or AI employees, most people are trying to call it, is so that you can get into like more higher level thinking or find other areas of value you can provide for the organization or for yourself. And I think people are afraid of that right now. I think that's where a lot of the resistance is coming from to this, like, should I do AI or should I not do AI in my area? So a lot of people are like, I don't want to do more, or I like the speed at which my company or my current role is moving. And so I think there's an element of being scared. It's a little bit of a tangent there, so I apologize on that. But me specifically, everything you're doing something every single day, you need to be able to document it and communicate and to a junior why you're doing what you're doing and the value of doing what you're doing. And so I use the WWW framework. This is the easiest thing I can articulate. What has happened in the past? Based on what has happened in the past, what are you doing about it today? And based on what is happening today, what do you anticipate is going to happen next? If that is the most simplistic way of like framing the day or framing what it is that you do, there's a list of shit that's going to happen right off the back of those prompts.
That is huge. Because something that I was thinking about when you had mentioned like the folks who might not like or might say something like, I don't know, I just do it. There's one piece that I'm realizing in this conversation that I think you do really, really well. It seems like you're able to get clarity extremely fast. And like clarity means so many different things. It's like clarity of your own thought, clarity of your own opinion, clarity of like what's happening around you. And then the output of that is like communication, whether it's written or verbal, like we're talking here. And I'm almost wondering if those people who say like, I'm not sure, there's one version where they say, don't talk to me. There's another version where it's like, they haven't gone through the work of processing, like what the hell is going on? Because it could be like, I don't know why I told the client that, but it really worked, didn't it? And it's like being able to communicate. So I'm wondering, it might be that same like 3W framework, but if you have any recommendations for folks on like how to get clarity so quickly in your day-to-day.
Dude, you are a incredible conversationalist, and this is why I said yes. Like if anybody else, like, look, I love Reza. I'm an early OG, early investor. You guys, if it was anybody else on this, dude, I would say, nah, I'm gonna keep my Friday and go hang out with my kid. But I actually thoroughly enjoy the way you speak and the way you think about these things. So thank you so much for one. Shout out to you. But this is something that I care about from a linguistic standpoint and from a conversational standpoint to your people. Like I value assuming that these people are smarter than me, and I value them understanding what it is that I'm doing for this role, for this department, for the outcome that we both, me and the person I'm talking to, have agreed upon is where we're going. That framework means that, okay, if that's it, then they're interested enough for them to understand what I'm doing to not hear and ask questions of what I'm doing and why I'm doing, but to hear and to ask questions as to what it is that would make it better for what I'm doing currently. And so the articulation, I think we have to move out of the area of like, I'm fearful of sharing what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis because it might be viewed as it's not enough. And the only way it's going to be viewed as it's not enough is if the person in which you're working for or working on behalf of has something against you. And that's a deeper thing that you got to get through and work through from your standpoint or for the person that you're working for or for the client that you're working on behalf of. And so it starts with releasing the fear of, I don't want to minimize the work that I'm doing and the effort and thought work put into it, but you do have to explain the scope of like, I'm uploading these ads. That sentence is very simple, but what happens within this sentence of simplicity is like, the ads are organized, they're labeled. We've already done the feedback to the creative stretch. We've already done the shoot. I've reviewed the shoot. Like there's a lot of this conceptualization that goes into the context that might not always need to be articulated, but you got to be ready to pop off when they ask like, why are we doing what we're doing? It goes back to the W's, dude. I don't think I would go away from that framework.
I love it, man. I love it. Something that's been so like fun in these conversations is like there's always some foundational layer that like I don't know, man. Like when I look at you, it's like that clarity and like who you want to work with, how you want to hire them. Like you say it like, yeah, you know, soft. Like that's what you do. I was like, bro, those are hard decisions. Like when you're in that moment, and it's like, and then I always attribute it back to like you're able to get that clarity very quickly. And I'm like, oh shit, like how do I get there? Like that makes a lot of sense. Like how do we make that work? So I've appreciated like hearing your insight and like rooting it in foundation. I think the next natural question that comes up for me is like in terms of where we're going, there's the visionary element being one of them, but then there's like goal setting being another piece there. So when I'm asking the goal setting question, what I'm really thinking about is like both personal and professional. So like, are you the type of person who will literally sit down and say, okay, by the end of the year, this is what we want to do. And then it breaks down into quarterly, breaks down into monthly, breaks down into weekly, whatever it might be? Or is it more like vibe it out? Like, how's it going to go?
That's a good question. It's probably a little bit of both. I don't believe in, okay, I actually used to be last year we were like, here's where you want to end in the year. No, that's from the brand side versus the agency side. From the brand side, it was like, we know that we want to grow returning revenue by this specific amount. And like, we like had a bear and bull case that we wanted to land upon. And then we would break that out from a monthly basis a quarterly basis into a monthly basis. And then month one, we like 175% broke pace. And then I'm like, dude, this doesn't work. I was like, this at this speed for this type of organization doesn't work. So I can't give a full year projection. So I'm going to have to go a quarterly basis. And I'm going to have to go from a monthly basis to a weekly to a daily. So on our team, we do a daily pace update from a new revenue to a returning revenue, which then rolls into the weekly update of like, what does inventory look like? And then that rolls into another like quarterly ingredient projection. And so like you can't actually outpace, like planning cannot outpace product development and product road mapping across, like we call it innovation. Planning cannot outpace innovation. And then innovation then takes time to understand like what is positioning. So I don't think you can do a full yearly from a department standpoint. I don't think you can go full year, at least from my personal experience now. And look, we're 2.5 years old, so it's a little bit, we're on the newer side. So maybe as we get more established, we might be able to hit and set these goals out. But our quarterlies are dialed in. Like we have initiatives and we have fundamentals that we're trying to go across. And even on the agency side of things is the movement on this from client acquisition to what the brands are going to be needing. Like, dude, could we have predicted what tariffs we're going to do from our brand standpoint? Like, how do you plan a year around that? Or you can plan the year, but you're gonna have to go revisit it, right? Perfect example. Say you just went to Clavio, or sorry, you were on Clavio, you left, you got a great deal with Yotpo, and like you're building flows and campaigns and like doing all this shit there, and they go like, by the way, we're gonna sunset. Dude, all the investment, all the time and effort. Now we're gonna rebuild. Is my month blown up? Is my quarter blown up? Like, I appreciate the fact that they did this way before Q4, so like we can get our shit straight for anybody that might have fell victim or is in trouble from this stuff. But there's just so much shit that happens so fast that a yearly planning, you have to vibe it out a little. So I guess that's what I'll land on. You have to have the direction of like, I think this is where we're going to land, but it's adjust on a weekly, monthly, and sometimes daily if you're pushing that much spend.
Love it, man. You're moving like water at the same time. How do you be malleable, but have some sort of vision of what you're working towards? I am curious, like just in my soul on your personal side, like you got a 16-month-year-old. I'm not good at saying it either. You know what I mean? So it's like 16 months. Like, are you thinking goals for the fam as well? Or how does that look?
So this was a crazy year. This was the most travel in the shortest period of time, because what's important to me, like I don't spend frivolously on anything. Like we have modest house, we have modest cars. We don't do like, we're Costco bulk people. Like, yeah, Costco's an expense, but like we're bulk buyers. We're not materialistic in the things that we buy. So the only thing that I spend on is comfortable travel and to locations that I really care about. So we always try to go to Europe as much as we possibly can afford to. Had the business, so like there's unique to do that in a very cost-effective or streamlined way. And so what for us the goal was like the developmental phase for his first 2 years, and obviously at year 2, we have to charge him. Now that boy's is a liability and a cost on the flight. So we were trying to stack as many trips as we possibly can across that board. But I will tell you, I think the goal for the family right now is Breeze is the rocket ship. I need to understand what that means from a planning standpoint, from a financial literacy standpoint, setting up the trusts, setting up if the wife, does she want to continue to work? Does she not want to work? Does she want to do something differently? Does she want to be at home? Does he need to do anything from a developmental phase stage? So there's a lot more. I'm learning this as a new dad while these new businesses are growing. But this is a much day-to-day goal setting, because right now, if you told me you feel like you're done with everything, you shouldn't work, I'm like, all right, we had a good run. I like my life, and I'm not really needing anything now. If you're like pie in the sky, what do you want to go get? Like I would love a little Rolls Royce. I would love a little Ghost coming down the street. You know what I mean? I think that'd be fun. I think we would like that, like the house in Barcelona. I think that'd be super cool to just hop off to.
Oh man, it's so funny. Those are the trophies at the end of the day, and it's just like knowing when you deserve the trophy. So it's so interesting. Shaq, you've been so generous with your time, man. I have a couple final questions. Is that cool? Sorry, I'm just like keeping an eye on time.
No, okay. I'm good, dude. Let's pop.
I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. So like one of the things is like I've mentioned this to you before, but when I see your career and where you're at now, it's going great. Like we talk about it in SaaS world, especially like up and to the right, nonstop. You know, family side, business side. But I'm always curious, like the story's never that clean. So I guess what I'm curious about is like, if you had an experience at some point where you're like, yo, I don't know if I'm gonna get through this, but then you ended up being able to get through it.
Bro, literally this week, literally like on Monday. I think I tweeted it literally last week, not this week. Dude, I did like the most intense financial decision for not just me, but like for like my family this last week. And like money is a thing for me that I have to like learn to understand what it's supposed to be used for. It's a tool. It's a way to provide the future. Like you have to make investments. You have to like part with the things that you've earned. And like I'm really, really good at making money and finding money and earning money. I'm very good at that, but I'm not great at spending it strategically. I'm not good at getting people around me to do this strategically. So I would say there's a lot of things around that I've had to deal with for sure. And I think that lives with me in business and in personal. Two, I brought on like a family member to like I'm financially supporting a family member that like usually people say you do not want to get into business with the family member. She's very junior. I'm trying to bring her along. That's a risk of a relationship from not just me, but from my wife's side to the family side. So that's a big undertaking. I did that about a month and a half ago. Emotionally right now, like I'm dealing and going through. Are you familiar with like peptides and like injecting yourself with different substances?
I'm not actually, no.
Okay, so there's like this biohacking world of like NAD plus, CMAX, and GLP-1s like tirzepatide and semaglutide. So like I'm personally injecting myself with compounds I'm buying on the internet to like see if I can regulate oxytocin, or if I can increase cognitive output, or if I can decrease body fat. Like I'm doing a bunch of like personal tests on the body. So like I actually don't even know how the fuck I feel, because I got so many things inside me, dude. If I'm being like completely honest. And so like that's been interesting. I will say this, and I'm like, this is honest to God, hand on Bible situation. It has been up and to the right, and there has been very, very, very few times in my professional career to where it was like very grim and not going to be like, I never had, like knock on wood, plus very, very blessed in situation. I've not been put into a situation to where it could have been nothing. And this is partially the reason why, like, why do you do multiple things? So you have multiple ways out.
Big bars.
I think that's
Oh
it.
my God.
That's it.
Big bars. Big bars. Oh man. Okay.
I feel that.
I love kids. I love kids. I'm excited to be a dad one day. My baby fever's through the roof, so I'd be remorse if I didn't ask you this question. Just a little bit playful. Pulled up one of your tweets.
Oh, dude, I had to cross his ass up. So okay, so this story here. I'm walking. We're We're in Florence, Italy. Okay. And I take, so you see what I'm holding? I'm holding like this, he was sitting on my lap, and this little kid that's walking behind him, he's working at his family's fruit stand to the left side. You see the truck, it's the left side of this one. And Kingsley loves balls. We have balls all the way at home. He's kicking balls, he's throwing balls, he's catching balls. And I'm holding him, and he goes, bah, bah, which is ball for him. And all of a sudden, me and this kid are going back and forth and kicking to each other. And my boy is, as he's just learning how to use his feet. And I was like, I'm gonna fucking cross this little kid up. He comes at me, and I V rolled his ass, right? Horse. And then down he went.
So the real question I have is like, what type of pops are you going to be? Like, are you ever going to let Kingsley win or no dubs?
No. Okay. So I'm working on two things as a pop. So I actually have a different belief. I learned this. There's two people that I follow on this stuff. One, his name is Topher Grant. He's a very close friend. He owns Giddy Up, which is a large affiliate network. I believe my job as a father, this is different than how I believe as a husband. I believe my job as a father is more like a shepherd of allowing personal development and allowing him to experience life as max as possible without major fear of injury or trauma as much as I can. So like I want him to experience everything to his fullest and what he's capable of, what he should have, what he should experience, that is not going to put it to the point where like, oh my God, that was absolutely traumatic. And so 100% he's going to earn the wins, but not to a point where there's like emotional distress from progress or him losing self-confidence in his ability to act or exercise. And right now, like the hardest thing, like on a day of boy 60 months before 2 years old, I have to actively work on the amount of times I say no and frame it in yes. And that's super difficult. Like I'm trying to end the day by saying yes more than I say no. Because right now he's grabbing the dog, he's grabbing food, he's grabbing the bowl, he's grabbing things off the shelf. Like there's tons of things for him to do, especially when we go into public, that it's hard. It's like an active thing you have to think about is, how do I say yes, or how do I frame that no as a yes? And that's something I want him to know, that I want him to be comforted, but understand direction, but not told no all the time.
Communication is so freaking important. So freaking important. It feels like it's everything. Do you think, I'm just like pulling on these threads, but like I'm just wondering, you're an excellent business communicator at work, like with your employees, your team, everybody there. Do you think that helps translate into the language you need to use with your son?
I think so. If you watch the best linguists and mental structures of tying in stories to lessons are comedians. A lot of these guys, if you can look past like the self-deprecatingness of a comedian, and you can go into like the way that they're setting up the structure, the way that they're setting up interest towards retention of the message, are these guys. These guys are incredible at this. So I love going to comedy shows. I'm not really a slapstick guy. I'm more of like a storytelling, understand where this is going, get the setup kind of situation. But that has helped me at times. He's too young for me to do any of this stuff, right? So it's usually smaller words, simpler words. But when I talk to my wife, or when I talk to people that I care about, or when I actually have something worthwhile speaking to or to discuss, I try to go that route.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful, man. Okay, final question I have for you. I ask everybody who comes up here, and at some point I'm gonna stitch them all together so we have something to look at for the internet. If you don't have an immediate response, all good. Throw it to me first. I got your back. But the question is I'm wondering, do you have a favorite quote? And if so, what is it and why?
Yeah, I got you. So the quote goes, "A candle loses nothing by lighting another candle." The reason why this matters to me is, if you are burning and if you have light and if you are technically on, you lose nothing by lighting somebody else or turning someone or putting them on. It doesn't pull from you, doesn't detract from you, doesn't hurt from you. So it's your liability to continue to be the light or prove that you can put other people on. I like live that on a day-to-day basis. Another way of saying that is like, there's enough for all of us to eat. I truly believe that, especially in a space where it's like we're taking clients from these people, they're taking clients from me, we're taking employees from these people, we're taking customers from these people. I still think the market is big enough for most of us to win and find success. Yeah, someone will eat more than others, but there's definitely enough for us to eat.
I got the chills. Like you look at my arm hairs. Woo-hoo! Oh my gosh.
It's because you got basketball shorts on, bro. You gotta get some pants on over there.
Nick, I could talk to you for hours, man. I could talk to you for hours, but I am sincerely appreciative of your time. Sincerely. Are there any final words you want to leave with the audience today?
I'll say shout out to, again, we've been using Motion for quite a while. We're one of your earliest supporters. You guys have been great at what you do. You're continuing to be great at what you do. I know you guys work with Jess at Fire Team. Unfortunately, like I have questionable. Look, I won't talk about it here publicly because I know this is live, but like I don't know, man. That is interesting. No, I'm kidding. Shout out to Jess. I appreciate you, Jess. I saw you comment, so I'm just picking on you. But look, I think we're in a very interesting time. I don't think we should be afraid of what's happening in the outside macro world. Turn the news off and just like continue to build because it is definitely worth it. The other side of this is we do nothing and you go back and work at an in-store shop, and I promise you, people in your community are not as exciting as they are on Twitter or online.
Shaq, I appreciate you, man. This has been absolutely incredible. This has been absolutely incredible. I'll talk to you really soon, man.
Peace. Bye, buddy.
Oh man, as we get Nick out of here, and he figures out perfect. Ah man, I love these conversations. Like they're so much fun. I had all like a pretty big list of tactical questions to get into. But then there was like so many things that I got personally interested in. Like when you're talking to someone who has helped build 4 or 5 businesses, that's impressive. Like no matter what, I don't think anyone can deny that, right? And I think one of the big pieces that like I take away here, and you heard me pull on this thread a couple different times, is like get clarity quickly. Get clarity as quickly as you can. And if you can get that clarity, the next exercise is how do you best communicate that? So he uses the 3 W's to get the clarity, and then communication comes naturally. He also mentioned some comedian pieces. But for anyone out there who has struggled to like analyze their internal thoughts about what you should do next, or how you should communicate to your boss about like you want something, whatever it might be, I think there's an element of just making sure you have extreme clarity so you then can communicate it appropriately. It's why I'm such a big fan of sales, in all honesty, because like sales is one of those, I won't say games, but it's just like one of those roles where it's like pure communication based and you're required to adapt based on what you're hearing and like build talk tracks based on that. So it helps you like identify a different way of wording things that can ultimately resonate. But that helps with the communication channel, not the like clarity piece. So that's why I'm like overemphasizing now on like make sure to get clarity as fast as possible. Everybody, this has been incredible. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. It's an episode of ThumbstopLive. So ThumbstopLive is live every Monday to Friday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. It's hosted by Motion. So myself, my name is Evan. I'm the head of partnerships at Motion. We do a ton. Check us out. But if you're interested in tapping in with us and not missing conversations like the ones we had with Jess and Nick today, what I will say is tap in with us at ThumbstopLive, at ThumbstopLive, at ThumbstopLive. We are streaming across X and Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube Live. I'm on Instagram too, kind of all over the place, you know what I'm saying? So if there's ever a place you want to catch us, you know where to catch us at. But everyone, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for your eyes and ears. This was a fun one. I've sincerely enjoyed it. And I'll see you on Monday, okay? We got another group of great people joining us next week. And I'm excited. I'll talk to y'all soon, okay? Peace.